Hi guys, welcome to Pretty and Gritty. This is TP coming to you, and today I'm going to talk about the injuries and ailments that I'm going to take on the trail with me, because being on the other side of 50, I take a few things with me. Lived a life, so I'm bringing some stuff with me. First and foremost, in 2009, I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a form of blood cancer, and that goes with me. What does that mean it comes with me? Well, anytime I have an unexplained pain, I think first and foremost is that cancer. Unless it's an obvious injury like a turned ankle or a cut on the finger or something like that, especially if it's in my back, I think, oh my gosh, is my cancer back? I have a propensity to have kidney stones, and so anytime I get one of those things, I think, is this a kidney stone or is this cancer? Neither of them, which are a great option, although kidney stones are shorter lived than cancer. But the treatment for cancer that I went through also posed some health problems for me. And one of them is neuropathy. I still have it, and I'll talk about that in just a moment because it goes along with something else that I have. And that was in 2002, I was in a rather horrific auto accident. A guy doing about 50, 60 miles an hour T-boned me, his fault. And with that came about 7 or 8 years of physical therapy so that I could get back to a normal life. But it never really completely went normal. I still have pain in my shoulders/neck area, and I cannot turn my head completely one side to the other side. I can turn better to the right than I can to the left. But it still lingers. I still have it. I've had a couple nerve ablations, which is basically coming in and burning the nerves to get rid of the severe headaches that come with it. But if I sleep wrong, I have a headache. Sometimes it makes it so that my arms are harder to use. Sometimes my back hurts because of it. So I do have those aches and pains that come with it. So let's go back to that and my chemotherapy. And during chemotherapy, one of the side effects is neuropathy. And neuropathy is just basically you can't feel the tips of your fingers or your toes. My toes are completely 100% okay. At least I think so. And my fingers aren't. I still have these 3 fingers are actually devoid of feeling. So things, I feel pressure, but I can't feel the sharpness. So like if I were to take a needle and poke, I could not feel the poke. I could feel pressure from the needle pushing on it, but I cannot feel the poke. And why does this matter? Well, it matters because I can't feel the pressure when I'm squeezing my fingers together to undo my belt. On my pack or my chest strap. I can't feel the pressure when I'm trying to button my shirt or unbutton my shirt or my pants when I need to go to the bathroom. And tearing packages, I cannot feel to grip as I'm tearing packages open like a freeze-dried dinner. Or even worse, trying to seal something back up. I can't feel that I have sealed the Ziploc completely back up. So that really does matter. And also if I were to get a cut and not know and it got infected, and that would be unfortunate in many ways. Another something that happens I'm taking from childhood, and that is poor eyesight. And why does this matter? Because you're hiking. Why do you need eyesight? Well, you need eyesight because you need to be able to see things in distance and up close. And until just recently, I was contacts and glasses, corrected it, and I was perfectly fine. And then recently, because I'm my age, I now have to wear grandma glasses or granny reading glasses. And that does pose a problem because I correct so that I can see basically far, and then when I need to read, I wear reading glasses. And I have it such that my prescription allows me to be able to see really rather clearly to just around where my foot is going to fall on the ground. So I can see about a step ahead of me perfectly clear, but after that it gets more difficult. So when I'm running, I can see where 2 or 3 step falls will happen so I don't trip on things. Well, where does that come into play when you're hiking is when you are like, when you're walking up a rock climb or something, I cannot see those rocks very clear that are right under my feet, like my next step. I can see the 3 steps in front of it and I can see what they are going to look like, but right underneath my feet, it's very difficult. And depending on what the lighting is, whether it's overhead light, whether it's dappled light, whether it's in the shade, or what kind of shadows are being cast around my feet, I do have to take an extra second to make sure that where I'm placing my foot is really what I'm seeing and what I'm not seeing. Because it's not that I see two things of something, but it's just the rock. The edges aren't clear to that rock. And so I need to be able to step perfectly safely on that rock. And so it takes me just a second to see. I sometimes will hike with my reading glasses on, depending on how close that ground is. Like when we're walking up a hill versus down a hill, I may put my readers on so that I can see the steps that I'm going to step on. So that does matter. So eyesight is really important. And also, if I were to lose my contacts or my glasses and I just have to rely on whatever I have when I'm what I call naked, I'm hosed. I can't go anywhere. I can see like right here, and after that, it's all blurry. So it is a problem. Another something that I take with me is a broken toe. Just a few months ago, I broke my toe. And it can be a problem. Right now, it's not a problem. We think it's healing perfectly fine. The way I broke it is I broke the part where the ligament attaches to the tip of the toe that helps you pick your toe up. So this is what my toe would be like if that does not attach again, and it would not be able to be straight like this. And why does that matter? Is because if you're walking without a shoe underneath, like a sole of a shoe underneath your foot, you have this down, and when you're walking, you're going to catch that on the bottom of a step, the bottom of a rock, a tree limb, or something like that, and you will fall. So it does matter. We think it is healing perfectly fine. I think I will have arthritis in it. I'm looking at my toe right now. I think I may have developed arthritis in it, which I think I'm going to get anyways, knowing the genetics that I have in my life. So this does matter, and we hope it's healing, right? Because the other option, if it doesn't heal on its own, is surgery, but surgery will mean 6 months of recovery, and 6 months I don't have if I'm going to do this hike with my daughter when she wants to do it. So there we go with that. Now, I also had 2 shoulder surgeries. I basically have had calcium deposits in with what I call dragon's teeth, or serrated knife, where the calcium deposit is not like a pearl where it's nice and smooth. It's been more like a knife, and it has ripped and torn the ligaments / tendons in my shoulder, and therefore has made great pain, like excruciating pain, like I can't move type pain. And so I have had one reconstructed in 2008, and the other one was reconstructed in 2020, just as the pandemic started. And so I've had both of those done, which is great. That's wonderful. They're almost 100%, but there's a little bit of weakness in the shoulders, and also the mobility or the flexibility and the movement, the range of movement in both shoulders has been limited a little because of those surgeries. I'm completely pleased with what my shoulders are doing now. Before they were it was quite nasty. So I am completely happy with the shoulder surgery. So, you can never say that word fast. Shoulder surgery. I am happy with how it turned out. I would not want to go backwards. I love it, but it does have its limitations in that I cannot put my hand, like putting my hands behind my head like this. Can't do that. So anyway, that's what that is. So the next one I have is ankles, and this one is since childhood. I have skinny ankles, and they are prone to be turned. In fact, just this last weekend on a hike that we did, I turned my ankle. Sorry, sad day. But it turned, and I will hobble on it for a little bit. I do worry that it will be the end of my hike. I will turn it so badly that it will be the end of my hike. I really do worry about that. So I am very careful about that. I actually love my feet. But I do worry about them. They're going to be my problem. And last but not least is my thumb. Not only do I have neuropathy in this thumb, but I also, a few years ago, I was in a self-defense class, and time was called, and so I released my grip on a kick pad, and the guy who was kicking into the pad did not stop his kick, and so therefore it jerked my thumb back, and I have some ligament damage. It's not enough to warrant surgery yet. We've tried physical therapy. I hate hand therapy. It is the most boring thing ever. But anyway, we have tried some therapy on it. I have a brace that I can put it in. And why does this matter? Well, it matters because if I fall, I have to be able to have my hand put on a completely flat surface. And if there's any type of movement like that, instead of like that, and I'm pressing down on it, I have sharp pain that just runs right down my arm up into my shoulder. So it has to be completely flat to get myself up off of it. And also, when you're using your hiking poles and you've put your pressure, you're gonna use your hands to push your pressure, you're catching it right here. And if I just catch it just a little bit off, I once again hurt that little ligament that's in that thumb, and it hurts and it's very painful. Does it stop me from hiking? No, it just is a bugger. It's just a bugger that I have to deal with. So anyway, those are the injuries. I'm sure I have more. I'm sure I could probably add to this list a lot longer. But those are the things that I take with me on the trail. Oh, I should add this one because this is how I get my name. We're not quite sure what it means. My name means TP. It's either Tinkle Princess. Yeah, it's Tinkle Princess, or toilet paper, because I always need more toilet paper. Because after 6 babies, I have a very small bladder and I need to go to the bathroom often. So therefore, they call me Tinkle Princess. So there you go. Those are my trail. I will see you on the trails. Bye.
Hi guys, Sketch here. Now TP is outside doing yard work, so if you hear any noises, that's probably what it is. Today I want to talk about injuries, specifically the injuries that will be with us when we are on the Pacific Crest Trail. Now hopefully we will be able to go in 2022, but currently we did not win the lottery of PCT long distance permits, and we did not get any in November. Now there's still the January wave, and we're hoping to get some in January. However, if that does not happen, TP is a wonderful person and has been determined to go in 2022, and has mentioned that she will do all the effort it takes to get the local permits, which means around 30 to 50 permits as opposed to the PCTA's 1 long distance permit. So here's hoping we can still go in 2022. Currently it is Thanksgiving before 2022, and this is kind of what I'm rolling with in terms of injuries. Now I do have a condition in my wrist that is tendonitis in my wrist that will never go away. It's chronic, and what that entails is my wrists will be in pain if I move them in certain ways. I can only bend my wrist back this far. A lot of people can go almost flat. I can't. My wrists swell up during the night a lot, so often I'll wake up with swollen wrists and swollen fingers, which makes doing things in the morning a lot more difficult, like making breakfast or putting our tent down or things like that. And I also can't hold things in certain ways for too long of a time, otherwise my wrists will start to hurt and I'll lose grip, which means doing my trekking poles, that's a lot harder, sometimes holding them in certain ways. Sometimes I have to hold them in ways that are technically not safe for trekking poles. If I were to trip and fall and land on the trekking poles, I could break my wrists or my arms or something like that, which is not ideal, but at the same time it prevents severe pain in my wrists. Now to combat that, I will often be wearing compression braces or compression gloves, whatever you want to call them, on my wrists, which help keep the swelling down and the pain. And I will also be using them as sun gloves, which means during the times on the trail where we are in the desert, I do not really have to worry about my hands being burned from overexposure to the sun. Now on to another injury, my feet. Hopefully this will not impact the trail too much, but I, in 2017, had to be put in a boot on my left foot for 6 months due to a tendon issue in my big toe. And then in 2019, I want to say 2018, 2019, I had to go with a boot for 6 months on my other foot for a very similar issue in the tendon. I had overwalking made my sesamoid bone push into my tendon around it, and it started cutting away at the tendon in my big toe joint. So hopefully that does not impact us on trail. Both TP and I naturally have really wide feet, and so we went for extra wide toe boxes in our shoes so that our feet don't have any issues. And then we're hoping that will stop anything from rearing its ugly head. Now, another issue that is super important and very prominent right now is my knee. So I've mentioned in a couple of videos, especially our training snippet videos, so if you haven't watched those, you probably don't know about this. I think those are the only ones I've mentioned this injury on. But in July, we ran a Ragnar, TP and I, we ran a Ragnar together. And during the Ragnar, I noticed a severe amount of pain in my knee. I thought it was just me running after not really prepping for the running. And it went away, and it came up every once in a while at work because I walk 6 to 8 miles every day at my job as a ranch hand, and I thought nothing of it. I thought it would just go away. And then as we started hiking this summer, I realized after maybe 10 miles, any downhills or anything like big rocks going on them, coming down, my knee started hurting again. And I kind of continued to just, whatever, I don't like going to doctors, so I was like, whatever, it'll go away on its own. Especially over the winter, it'll just disappear. And then in September, when TP and I went on our sister's trip and hiked 52 miles together, it was not fun. The last 5 miles to the car, I could barely walk. I could not bend my knee. I could barely put any pressure on my leg, and it was a very slow 5 miles to the car. In fact, I had to call out of work for the next couple of days because I couldn't walk. That was the last straw, and TP forced me to go to the doctors, and rightfully so. I really should have gone earlier, but I'm stubborn and didn't want to admit that I was in pain. So finally went to the doctors, and after a couple of visits and trying different things, we decided to get an MRI done on my knee, and the MRI showed that I have tissue growing behind my kneecap, which is not supposed to be there, and so every time I step, it pushes the kneecap into the tissue, causing the tissue to start to swell, making it more painful every single step I take, and start to swell even more every step I take. And I also have fluid in between my T-band and my bone, and so the doctor has agreed that the best course of action to get this solved would be surgery. Now, it is not an invasive surgery, so I'll only be out for roughly 2 weeks, and the recovery won't be as heavy as, let's say, an IT problem. Now, I don't need to do PT, and we're hoping everything will be solved. I get surgery in a little less than 2 weeks now, and by Christmas time, I should be fine, hopefully. And we're hoping that the problem will solve itself. But that does mean that in these next upcoming training videos, you will not see any footage of me because I'm not working out currently until this issue is solved. Here's hoping that everything goes smoothly. And as always, I'll see you on the trails.